Welcome to the second episode in the forest. I hope we can do more of these. I'm here in this urban forest and this is my SSB hat. I do leadership workshops for them. Seema Sashastra Bal, which is the border guarding force on the eastern border of our country. Beautiful organization, beautiful people. They have an absolutely divine training center academy in a place called Gwaldam, which is in the foothills of the Himalayas in Uttarakhand. You sit there on the veranda of the guest house and you can see three mountain peaks, snow peaks. Absolutely fabulous place. This hat they gave me in 2014 as a token of their appreciation and affection, and I wear it in the same spirit. Now I'm here to show you what an urban forest looks like. I want you to take a careful look at what I am projecting now, and then I will talk to you about that. Now take a look at these trees. What do you see from these trees? I want you to look carefully at their leaves. See those grasses. I see the trees there in the distance. You see the trees nearby. You see some of those trees with creepers on them. And these rocks here, where I'm standing on top of that, you see that small pool of water. And I'll tell you in a minute why that is so important. And then we see, I'm just doing a quick panning of where I'm standing right around. So you get at least some idea of what we mean when we say forest. There you go. And see some more and more. What strikes you? Think about this. What strikes you when you see all of these trees over here? What's the one word, if I asked you to tell me in one word, what is the most striking thing about all this? What would you say? What would that word be? Whatever word you thought, the word that strikes me is not dense, it's not green, it's diversity. If you look at this piece of video which I just showed you, and I'm going to show you some more as we talk, it's diversity. It's literally uncountable types of leaves, uncountable types of grasses, shades of green, which I'm completely beggared for words trying to talk about this and say, well, it's green, is one word green, but what green? There is a green and a green and a green. Now, which green? So it's an absolutely amazing diversity of things. I told you about that little pool of water, and then there it is. There's the little pool of water. Now, if you look at this pool of water, it doesn't look like much, but believe me, this is water for insects to live in and breed in. I don't know if you can see that. I see some mosquito larvae in this already, which become then the food for some other amphibians. If you look here where I'm sitting, these are animal droppings, and they look like the droppings of civet cats. There is a caterpillar which is going about his business, and it's like a centipede, not a caterpillar, a centipede. I don't know if you heard the peacocks calling just now, because there are peacocks in this forest. Absolute diversity. Now, why am I saying that? Because recently I saw a video of some well-meaning person sent it to me about this drone which you can fly around and this drone drops seeds which are in little capsules, and these are like little bombs, but nice bombs, green bombs, which go into the ground, and then the seed germinates, and they said you can plant 100,000 trees in one day. Now, this might sound to people who don't understand forests like the answer. Here we are rapidly and mercilessly reducing this earth to a desert, and we are slaughtering animals, we are cutting trees like there's no tomorrow. We are least concerned about global warming, about carbon emissions, and it looks like the world is going to hit back. And we say, well, here, before that happens, I've got my now magic formula. I'm going to fly my drone around and drop the stuff, and I have trees. Now think about that in the context of what I just showed you. Here we are talking about a forest. The single biggest feature of that is diversity. A forest is, to say that a forest is a bunch of trees is like saying a family is a bunch of people. It's as stupid as that. A family is not a bunch of people. A family is a bunch of people, but it is distinguished by the relationships between those people. It's not just a bunch of people. Now, in a forest, there are relationships between the trees. There are relationships between the trees and the grass. There are relationships between the trees and the animals, the mammals and the birds and the reptiles and the amphibians, and where there's water, fish, and above all, insects. The ones that we seem to ignore all the time, although practically our survival on the face of the planet depends on the survival of insects. We don't pay them enough attention, but that is, and they are very much a part of the forest. All of these, the trees, the mammals, the amphibians, the reptiles, the insects, they all live in symbiotic relationships with each other. Now, there are three kinds of relationships, as we know. There are symbiotic relationships, which is where the two or more organisms they live with each other in ways which are mutually beneficial. There is a saprophytic, we look at it from a botanical point of view, the saprophytic relationship, where, for example, an orchid grows on a tree, the orchid doesn't harm the tree gives the orchid support and protection, and that is called a saprophytic relationship, where two organisms are together, one is benefiting from the other without harming it. And then, of course, there is the last of them, which is what we have in our with human beings, which is a parasitic relationship, where we have where one organism lives with another organism, but in a relationship where it harms it, and we are in a parasitic relationship with the world. Very sad to say. So there we are. Here is a forest. So now the forest is not a bunch of trees, so you can't just fly a drone and drop a bunch of seeds and say, well, I've got a forest. No, you don't have a forest. You have at best a plantation. I'm not even talking about the rate of survival of the trees, what happens to them, who looks after them, who waters them, who manures them, how do you prevent them from being eaten, because nice green shoots are primary food for so many herbivores. I'm not talking about pathogens and diseases. Leaving all that aside, all of those things are critically important to the survival of even what you're planting. But I'm saying, even if everything happens, all you have is a plantation. You do not have a forest, and that does not serve the same purpose as a forest. Now, this forest which I am sitting in here is as I told you, it's an urban forest. It's in the middle of Hyderabad, 300 acres of national park, the KBR Park. And the beauty of this is that it has been left alone. So they have put some, they planted a few trees here and there, but by and large this has been left alone to grow the way it should be left alone to grow. And so therefore there's a huge variety of vegetation, different kinds of things. In this park we have, to the best of my knowledge, we have rock pythons, we have rat snakes, we have Russell vipers, we have peacocks, partridges, quails. I have not seen jungle fowl here, although jungle fowl can live here. This used to be jungle fowl habitat at one point in time. I have seen a leopard here, not now, but many years ago. There are no deer, but there is the black-naped hare, which is rabbits. There are different kinds of raptors, different kinds of owls. There's lots and lots and lots of bulbuls with their beautiful trilling liquid calls falling out of the sky as you walk. It is an absolutely beautiful environment, and that is because this place has been left alone. Now I'm saying this, and I'm mentioning this to you, and I'm talking about this urban forest because this is what I want to really put in your mind and say, how can you preserve forests? Don't even talk about replanting forests. I mean, yes, we have to do that. If you go and ruin the land, then you have to, but remember that that's not such a simple proposition. Where on earth are you going to find this kind of diversity? How will you plant it? What will you do? How will you look after it? How will you sustain it and allow it to grow? If you look at some of these things, for example, this forest has absolutely zero commercial value, and that's the beauty, and that's probably the reason why it's been left alone. Whereas in a plantation, your primary focus would be commercial value. You say, well, how much money can I make out of this? Well, out of this forest you can't make any money, but that's a very good thing because that's why the forest is left alone. But you can't make money. However, this forest is giving us things which are, if only we value them. As somebody said, if these trees gave off Wi-Fi, you wouldn't touch a tree. But instead of that, the trees give off something far more beneficial, and that is oxygen. What I'm looking at and what you are looking at here, as you look at that. You are looking at freestanding solar panels which take the light of the sun, they fix carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere, and they produce a waste product called oxygen, and that is what we breathe. Now, if these trees didn't do this work, then this earth would be completely blanketed with carbon dioxide, which comes out of volcanoes, and 50 times what all the volcanoes on the earth put together, what they put out as carbon dioxide, 50 times that is expelled by human beings. We are exhaling and we are producing through our machines, through our animals, cattle, farming and so on, 50 times that carbon dioxide. If we didn't have these trees to reduce that carbon dioxide, and of course not just these trees, but we're talking about the diatoms in the oceans, we're talking about the major forests of the world, this earth would be blanketed with carbon dioxide. And one of the most lethal effects of excess carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is a huge increase in temperatures. The temperature on Venus, for example, which is a planet which is very related to us, the temperature on the surface of Venus is enough to melt lead. If you took lead to the surface of Venus, lead would melt. Now, let's think about how you and I would exist with that kind of heat. So really, I think I want to try to give this message to you. Please, please, please work to preserve forests. Leave them alone, let them be what they are, let them do what they do, which is to keep us alive and to keep us healthy. Walk in the forest, look at the forest, enjoy the forest. Go and sit down quietly, don't make a noise, and just sit quietly and watch and literally hear the grass grow. I wish you all the very best, and I hope you like this episode, and until we meet again. Thank you very much.